Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. This is Rudkowski of WeAreChange.org here at LibertyCon in Washington, D.C. We got a special guest. We got Fischer here, another independent journalist, and of course, Josh Sigurdson, all the way from cold and really not nice socialist communist place known as Canada. Josh, how are you?
Well, thanks for reminding me, first of all. Just ready for another show. Eager to get out of Canada, the socialist hellhole that you speak of. And let's talk about some crypto.
Well, yeah, the first story you have is really, really incredible and really, really amazing here. We're also here in Washington, D.C. for this kind of Liberty event in the Den of Vipers. But the story here is really insane because the headline here is just shocking because we just learned that a Polish central bank paid YouTube stars to make videos about a cryptocurrency crash. Josh, this makes no sense at all.
No, it kind of does make a lot of sense, and I'll get into that in a second. But as the article says, the National Bank of Poland, NBP, told CNBC it spent $91,221.99 Polish zloty. I don't know what the currency is called.
Zloty. That's about 26,000. I'm Polish. That's zloty. Say it right.
Zloty.
Zloty.
26,000.
Zloty.
760.
Okay, I get it, Luke. $26,764 on Gamelin, a YouTube partner network that features a number of well-known bloggers, as well as Google and Facebook's Irish subsidiary. Marcin Dubiel, who has nearly 1 million subscribers to his YouTube channel, posted a video titled Strakilum, some Polish word that you could probably pronounce later on, which translates as "I lost all my money." It follows a character who buys a fake digital currency which crashes, and it racked up over 500,000 views. And Poland's central bank says they are not opposed to the development of blockchain technology and its application, but the use of this technology is financial markets must be as safe and tested as in the case of other technologies, a spokesperson added. So one of the biggest points I take out of this is that there are central bankers paying independent media to do negative stories on crypto, which, I mean, we could assume or theorize that this is very possible that central banks are doing the same thing with mainstream media, considering all the fear, uncertainty, and doubt spread by mainstream media in fake news stories, like the FUD that was spread out of South Korea, where there were a bunch of media claims out of Reuters saying that South Korea was going to ban Bitcoin when they weren't. Same as India, where they claimed that India was going to ban Bitcoin, which they weren't. They're going to regulate it, and those regulations are unenforceable. But on top of that, they also point out something big, is that the central banks aren't against the creation or use of blockchain technology. They just want it to be centralized, not decentralized. So they do everything in their power to spread a lot of fear when it comes to, you know, decentralized cryptocurrencies. It comes with the whole new idea of decentralized cryptocurrencies, that central bankers are going to be against it and do whatever they can to scare people away from it. Meanwhile, you know, they're trying to prop up the fiat system, claiming that, you know, fiat's great. You make so much, you know, you can keep your money in your mattress and watch it, you know, devalue to nothing. And cryptocurrency is dangerous. And we'll get into some of the reasons why they attack crypto later on in the show. But back to you, Luke.
Well, back to Ford.
Yeah, so I wanted to talk about how in December, Salon.com, which is kind of a leftist opinion-based site, put out an article basically condemning Bitcoin. It writes, "Is Bitcoin enabling right-wing extremists?" And it talks about crypto in the context of how it is used in what they view as essentially right-wing extremist transactions. They point out that the Daily Stormer was funded with 14.88 Bitcoins, which gives me a massive eye roll on the transaction amount, which of course comes out to about 60,000 kind of fiat US dollars. And then they, as it goes on, they're kind of claiming that it enables what they call, you know, hate groups, hate outlets to fund themselves. And then it goes on to also tie it to what they call criminal activity, including Silk Road, which was founded for pretty much the opposite of Nazi reasons, right? It was founded in opposition of the drug war, in opposition of the state. So, of course, it's kind of the opposite of, you know, National Socialism, as the case may be. But so the reason why I find this interesting, it's not shocking to me that a leftist organization would be vastly anti-crypto, but this week, Salon started mining cryptocurrency on the computers of people who are going to Salon.com. So I kind of tested this. The reason I found this article was I figured at some point Salon must have criticized cryptocurrency in the way that I sort of predicted. I actually Google searched something like Salon.com is Bitcoin racist, and of course it came up. And so I managed to actually go to this article, is Bitcoin enabling right-wing extremists? And before I was allowed to read it, it gave me a pop-up asking me, Salon.com would like to use your computer power. You can support Salon.com by allowing them to use your processor for calculations. The calculations are securely executed in your browser sandbox. You don't need to install anything. And it is powered by a website called CoinHive. They're literally mining cryptocurrency to fund themselves while telling you that cryptocurrency as a whole should be condemned because it enables what they call extremists. So I think that this is kind of a contradiction that should be pointed out to people. Freedom for me, but not for thee, I think is something we need to be kind of aware of. And it goes to the way that the media is sort of condemning this subject.
Yeah, promoting extremist propaganda. And I have to say, the thing that brought me into this crypto world is the very fact that you have so much opposition from the mainstream media, from the central banks, from the private banks, all of them, and the politicians, all of them poo-pooing this idea of a cryptocurrency and decentralization. It makes me want to join it. And ultimately here, if you look at the hypocrisy of Salon, if you look at the hypocrisy of the Polish central bank and all these other banksters who have been talking about crypto, but at the same time either investing in it or making their own crypto, what they are is they're all pretty much working towards more money. And when you focus all on that, you're pretty much a whore. Let's just be honest here. Let's call a whore a whore. And a prostitute. They're all prostitutes just for the dollar. They're selling their soul. They're being hypocritical. The cryptocurrency technology could be used for anything. It's just like cash. It's just a new tool that could be used for good or evil. And I think this kind of transitions to the next story, Josh, that is coming out of Las Vegas on similar trends. But with the people that we're going to be talking about next, I have actually more respect for than the actual whores and prostitutes of the central banking systems than the mainstream media.
Yeah, absolutely, Luke. So I just wanted to quickly point out that Salon is known for their hypocrisy, and it's funny how they objectify anyone with a different view from them. You know, it's diversity of view, but not diversity of thought. And meanwhile, fiat is being used to fund prostitution and human trafficking throughout the world. We don't all blame fiat for that. We blame the actions of individuals for the actions of individuals. And that's so incredibly important to remember, especially considering, Bitcoin is a lot easier to trace than fiat cash if you're trading in cash. Anyway, on to this next story. Las Vegas strippers accept Bitcoin via QR tattoos, and basically this will help women, manage their finances outside of the banking system and central banking.
You're watching your words very carefully there, Josh. You're watching your words very carefully.
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely watching my words because there are certain regulations and laws and legislation in place that make certain words not just hate speech but criminal. So anyway, just
land of the free here in the United States and Canada.
It's a sign of the growing market for cryptocurrencies outside of crypto anarchist nerds of the past. And at the same time, this may pose problems as the market innovates. So a lot of these strippers in Las Vegas that have these QR codes, we might go from blockchain to the next big innovation, or something away from Bitcoin to another cryptocurrency, and then they'll have this old, worn out, wrinkled, QR tattoo to tell their grandchildren about many years from now.
But you know what?
Wait, they're actually getting the tattoo done? It's not a fake tattoo? It's a real tattoo on them?
A lot of them are getting real tattoos. Some of them, I'm sure, are getting like henna kind of stuff. I don't know, but I have seen some confirmed cases of real tattoos. And now I don't have much to add to the story other than asking Luke, you to, send me to Las Vegas to investigate closer. I'll spend hours and hours at the strip clubs, and I'll do a lot of really good research.
If the Steemit upvote post in here, we're of course sharing that revenue, so we'll let Steemit decide on that judgment call if they want to do that. But each his own, Josh. Each his own.
On to the next.
Yeah, and then, okay, moving on with the stories. And what's really fascinating is that in this day and age, anyone could accept cryptocurrencies with their phone. Just a few weeks ago in Mexico, during Acapulco, the guys who were giving out horse rides there and usually working for cash were accepting cryptocurrencies. They had over $1,000 in their wallet that they just got from literally just learning from somebody, and it's decentralized, and it's empowering so many people to be independent and be totally free. And as Barack Obama says, be their own Swiss bank account and have that power in your own pockets. But with that power comes great responsibility and also a lot of fear from the people who are losing that power. Individuals like Bill Gates, who just came out and he said that he believes cryptocurrency is, quote, killing people in a fairly direct way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the well-known eugenicist said in the CNBC article, as noted during a Reddit Ask Me Anything session on Tuesday, he explained that he thinks cryptocurrency is really bad because it aids and abets people who want to keep their financial transactions hidden from the government. Oh no. He seemed particularly concerned with whether the blockchain revolution is mostly revolutionizing financial crime, terrorism, and drug dealing, thus killing people in a fairly direct way. Going on, he says, and I quote, "The main feature of cryptocurrency is their anonymity. I don't think this is a good thing. The government's ability to find money laundering and tax evasion and terrorist funding is a good thing. Right now, cryptocurrencies are used for buying fentanyl and other drugs, so it is rare technology that has caused deaths in a
How do you even do
way.
fentanyl? How does one do, what is fentanyl? How do you even do that?
I don't know. It's a terrible drug that people get off the streets, and I've never seen it purchased with cryptocurrency.
But have you ever heard of fentanyl?
I have no idea what this is.
These young kids, I don't know.
What are the kids
Fentanyl.
using these days?
It's a drug that's really, really potent, that even a tiny drop of it, a tiny, like hairpin amount of it can kill you. It's something that I don't really think a whole lot of people are doing at parties. I think it's more suicidal people, but it's a terrible epidemic that's happening in parts of Canada and the US. But moving on to the end of this quote, he says, "I think the speculative wave around ICOs and cryptocurrencies is super risky for those who go long." So I'll agree with one part of this entire statement, and that is that ICOs are super risky, which it comes down to personal responsibility. There's good ICOs, there's mostly bad ICOs. That comes down to you doing your own due diligence. But what I find fairly funny about this whole thing is that the fear-mongering knows no bounds when you get to the point where you're saying it will kill people in a fairly direct way. Like people are, like Bitcoin's killing people by people choosing to buy fentanyl and killing themselves with it. It's just absolutely absurd. And also looking at some of his other excuses here, that it's ways to hide financial transactions from government. Okay, so you're hiding transactions from government theft, which is actually easier to do with fiat in cash, again, like I mentioned earlier, so it's nonsense. And then the whole terrorist funding thing. Again, 99.9% of all funding of terrorists is done in fiat. So should we ban fiat? Well, that's pretty debatable. But I mean, the point is, this is all nonsense. This is the same fear mongering that we get from left and right. And it's the kind of stuff that tells us we're obviously going into a good territory when a master eugenicist like Bill Gates, who has spoken many times before about depopulation and all that kind of stuff, says that cryptocurrency is killing us and that we need to move away from it. Look, it's funny that this guy who was above or on the wave of technological innovation in the 1970s into the 80s and 90s and 2000s is so behind the times. He sounds like a 90-year-old grandpa talking about cryptocurrency. It's like reading a fifth grader's book report. It's absolutely brutal.
Well, I think we should ban forks because it makes people fat and brings on heart diseases and all this other ridiculous stuff. The argument doesn't make sense, but Bill Gates is a very fascinating human being. We actually did a video about him, and the video title is "What You Need to Know About the Richest Man in America," where we go over all of his past, all of his history, and a lot of the concerning issues that, of course, the mainstream media doesn't bring up since he is so entangled with the mainstream media. And, of course, he is able to buy the press since he has so much money and so much wealth. So it's very hard to find really good criticisms of him. We were able to do that in one video, but very interestingly enough, he is a man who is advocating for people paying more taxes. What happens with U.S. taxes? Majority of that money is spent on the military-industrial complex. or then either on the prison industrial complex, the medical industrial complex, the pharmaceutical industrial complex. Our tax dollars fund some really messed up things all around the world. So with him advocating that, you could see his moral code is definitely not there. Very little taxes actually go towards social services and helping people. Majority of the taxes that he's calling for go towards destroying and hurting humanity and human life. Ford, do you have anything to say?
I wanted to point out something about what he's talking about on crypto kills people. Rational people think at the margin is something that I always learned in economics. And so the idea is, it's not about, is somebody going to die because they purchase something and they use crypto? If you're thinking about, is crypto a good thing or a bad thing in terms of net loss of life, you have to ask, are they dying because of the crypto, right? Or would they die anyway absent the crypto? My guess, I think that it's a really hard thing to evaluate because all of this operates in gray and black markets. My guess would be that if you removed crypto from the occasion, if you removed crypto from the entire situation, you might have slightly fewer people who are able to purchase things that end up killing them. But you'd also have a lot more people who are engaging in the types of transactions that are on the street, deal with cash, and then end up leading to violence. I would think that if you could empirically study this, you'd probably find that crypto saves lives, even as it relates to lethal objects such as firearms and drugs.
Yeah, and especially with wealth insurance, people saving money outside of the fiat system, gaining a lot off of capital gains if they're good with their crypto, and possibly being able to feed their family because of it, which does a lot more good than anything. But again, it comes down to the individual doing their own due diligence. And if individuals want to use something to kill themselves, they do that all the time with fiat as well. They do that all the time. I'm sure it's happened many times throughout history with gold and silver. I mean, if people are going to try and find a way to kill themselves, they'll find a way to try and kill themselves. And it's very unfortunate, and we need to talk about that. That's a conversation we all need to have. But to blame it on cryptocurrency is to dodge the actual reasoning behind why these people are committing suicide and doing these terrible drugs that kill them. Maybe we should be talking about the mental health issues rather than the guns or the crypto. And that is my major point coming out of this. And I just want to finish it off by making one more point that on average, it takes about 1% of municipal taxes to pay for roads. So again, when it comes to social services, all that, my roads, it costs almost absolutely nothing. Think of 1% of municipal, then go to state level and federal. It's like a drop in the bucket.
And then the rest of the money is spent on the pharmaceutical, medical, and war complexes that really do a lot more damage than good, at which Bill Gates is saying they need more money and more of your funds. And that makes absolutely no sense at all. Don't ban forks for fat asses. You're responsible as a human being for your own life, for your own existence. Be smart. And of course, don't believe anybody. Do your own research, do your own homework. And we want to thank you for watching and supporting real independent media. I want to thank Ford Fischer for joining us. We're going to be here at this conference working very hard. Josh, thank you again for joining us. All the links to these incredible individuals' YouTube channels will be in the description below, as well as their Steemit accounts. Go check them out. Decentralization is key. Steemit cryptocurrencies have been extremely important for us and the sustainability of real independent journalism. You guys are a huge part of it, and that's why I love you guys. Thank you again so much for watching. Stay tuned for more.